Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Every book in 10 minutes. Around the year 170, the most powerful man on earth sat alone in a war tent at night and wrote notes to himself. Not laws, not speeches. Private reminders on how to stay calm, kind, and unbroken. He never gave them a title, and he never meant anyone to read them. We have been reading them for nearly 2,000 years. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome for 19 years, and history calls him the last of the 5 good emperors. Plato once dreamed of a philosopher king. Marcus is the closest reality ever came, and his reign was a catalogue of disasters. Floods, wars on 2 frontiers, a plague that emptied cities, and a betrayal by his most trusted general. The notebook survived by pure chance, copied hand to hand for centuries under the plain Greek title, To Himself. Today we call it Meditations, and it sits on the nightstands of presidents, athletes, soldiers, and prisoners. Self-help was invented many times. This is the version written by a man who could have executed anyone, and instead policed himself. Part 1. The Reluctant Emperor. The most famous passage is about hitting snooze. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. Was I made for warmth under blankets? Look at the bees, he writes. Look at the ants, each doing its part. The Emperor of Rome, it turns out, also did not want to go to work. He went anyway. Book 1 is unlike anything else an emperor ever wrote. It is a gratitude list. From my grandfather, good morals. From my mother, generosity. From my teacher, Rusticus. The idea that I needed to improve my character at all. 17 people, thanked by name for pieces of who he became. Absolute power usually forgets its debts. Marcus opened his private book by listing his. He also tells us where he learned it. His adoptive father, the Emperor Antoninus, gets the longest portrait in Book 1. A man with no taste for drama, who listened to the end of every argument, worked past midnight, and never rushed a decision he could sleep on. Marcus studied him for 23 years, the way an apprentice studies a master. The lesson, character is caught, not taught. And remember where these calm sentences come from. He buried most of his children. A plague killed millions across the empire, including the co-emperor he loved like a brother. His best general declared himself emperor, and Marcus's first reaction, witnesses say, was grief that he would not get the chance to forgive him. The book is not the wisdom of a comfortable man. It is armor forged during the fire. Part 2. The Inner Citadel. The core of Stoicism fits in one sentence. Some things are up to you and most things are not. Weather, plague, traffic, other people, your own reputation, not up to you. Your judgments, your choices, your responses, entirely up to you. If you are pained by an external thing, Marcus writes, it is not the thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it, and the judgment you can erase. His most practical trick still works. Begin each morning, he writes, by telling yourself, today I will meet the meddling, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the dishonest. Not to become cynical, but to remove the element of surprise. They act that way, he reminds himself, because they do not know better. And none of them, not one, can touch your mind without your permission. When a problem swallowed him, he used a camera trick, 17 centuries before cameras. Zoom out. Picture your city from high above. The markets, the weddings, the funerals, the lawsuits, all at once. Then whole nations, then the earth itself, a dot hanging in darkness. Your crisis is still real, but watch it shrink to its actual size. Then comes the line that built 1,000 locker room speeches. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. A fire, he writes, turns everything thrown into it into flame and light. The Stoic does not pretend the obstacle is pleasant. He asks one question only: what does this make possible? On anger, he is surgical. When someone wrongs you, they have harmed themselves, not you. They have damaged their own character. Your revenge options are listed in one line. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Fighting cruelty with cruelty, he notes, is like grieving a mud stain by rolling in the mud. Part 3. You could leave life right now. Death is on nearly every page, and never as a horror. You could leave life right now, he writes. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This is memento mori, the old practice of remembering you will die, used not to darken the day, but to focus it. Deadlines make people productive. Marcus simply noticed we all have one. Time in this book is a river that sweeps everything away. Alexander the Great and his mule driver, he writes, ended in the same ground. Fame is 2 generations of gossip, repeated by people who will also die. He wrote that as the most famous man alive. Then Rome itself, the eternal city, became a ruined tourist's photograph. He saw that coming too. Another calming trick: nothing that happens to you is new. The same ambitions, the same panics, the same betrayals have run on repeat since before Rome. Read a little history, he writes, and you have seen this play already, just with different actors. Whatever is terrifying you tonight, someone survived it 2,000 years ago, without coffee. The conclusion he draws is strangely comforting. If the past is gone and the future is not yours yet, then the only thing anyone actually owns is the present moment. The longest life and the shortest lose exactly the same thing at death, this instant. So the task is not to live long. It is to live this hour properly, and then the next one. Part 4. Armor, not anesthesia. 2,000 years later, the private notebook is a public phenomenon. Presidents quote it. Athletes read it before finals. Soldiers carry it on deployment, and it circulates in prisons, where the difference between what you control and what you do not is not philosophy, it is Tuesday. The book keeps finding people at their hardest moments, because that is where it was written. There is a fair objection, easy for an emperor to preach acceptance, and a misreading to clear up. Stoicism is not passivity. Marcus accepted the plague was real, then reorganized the empire around it. He accepted the invasion was real, then spent a decade on the frontier repelling it. The philosophy never says do nothing, it says feel the storm and steer anyway. And here is why the book feels honest, where modern self-help feels salesy. Marcus repeats himself constantly because he kept failing. He loses his temper, wastes his morning, fears death, and writes the same reminder again the next week. It is not a book of answers. It is one man's gym log for the soul. He was not writing to impress us, which is exactly why he does. Next time, an English clerk travels to a castle in the Carpathian Mountains, and his host does not eat, does not age, and casts no reflection. The book that built every vampire that came after. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Every book in 10 minutes.